Most power has now been restored in Spain following that massive electricity outage across the country and in neighbouring Portugal. The cause of the power outage is still under investigation this morning. Bloomberg's Spain bureau chief, Rodrigo Orihuela, joins me now. So we've had the update, Rodrigo. Thanks for standing by. Most power has now been restored in Spain. Do we have any clarity on what was behind this and how policymakers are thinking about mitigating the risks going forward?
Well, the issue there is right now to answer that question is that we don't exactly know what sparked this outage. So there was an explanation that it had something to do with the frequency of the tension on the system, but that came from the grid operator early in the afternoon. The government subsequently, the Prime Minister himself subsequently said that there are all theories are still on the table and nothing has been dismissed.
Our monitor is taking us to Europe now, where the lights are finally back on across most of Spain and Portugal. A massive blackout left the countries without power for more than 12 hours. And as CBS News correspondent Jared Hill reports, it wasn't a cyber attack, but the question still remains as to just what caused this sweeping outage.
In the city of Madrid, drenched in darkness overnight, an eruption of excitement as the lights finally came back on. The power restored to almost the entire country following an hours-long blackout that swept across Spain, Portugal, and parts of France. Traffic in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon at a standstill. In Madrid, stranded Spanish commuters navigated through dark metro tunnels and along railroad tracks.
We were going to Barcelona, and all of a sudden it's just, general blackout, no news. They didn't know when it was going to start again.
The blackout even knocked out power midway through tennis star Coco Gauff's post-match interview at the Madrid Open.
So maybe I just need to not get a lot of sleep.
The outage hit just before 12:30 in the afternoon local time. Monday, the Portuguese National Cybersecurity Center said there was no sign of a cyber attack, but Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said they are analyzing all the potential causes without discarding any hypothesis. Hours in, people across the region remarked on signs life was getting back to normal. Lights on in a house and in storefronts as the busy morning commute picked back up in other places. But the world's still in the dark about why the lights went out.
I testified in front of the House Homeland Security Committee. It was actually a joint hearing of two subcommittees, the Committee on Cybersecurity, Critical Infrastructure, and Innovation, and the Transportation and Maritime Security subcommittees. The hearing was about cybersecurity in the transportation sectors. We were really looking at the new security directives that TSA is promulgating with regard to cybersecurity, particularly in the pipeline, rail, and aviation sectors, as well as maritime. Cybersecurity, may surprise some to hear, is an area of rare bipartisan support on Capitol Hill. Parts of industry, of course, are not thrilled about the idea of the federal government telling them how to do cybersecurity. But I think there is a general sense that raising everyone that owns and operates critical assets to a basic level of cybersecurity and planning to be able to more effectively respond to a successful cyber incident is something that we now need to move toward with a great sense of urgency.
This week, the FT carried an exclusive interview with the mysterious faceless hacker known as Pliny the Prompter. He is stress testing or jailbreaking the large language models that Microsoft, ChatGPT and Google have been building. An ethical online warrior who is part of the international effort to draw attention to the shortcomings of the biggest tech companies, the good guys in the shadows who are stress testing the system. What have they been able to do?
So they're able to get large language models to do things that they should not be able to do. So these are coded with guardrails, they're coded with rules. And jailbreaking a model is, imagine what you would do if you had a sort of teenager at home who was trying to play with a game and see if they could break it.
Spain and Portugal are trying to determine the cause of a huge power outage that hit both countries on Monday. Both Lisbon and Madrid have ruled out a cyber attack as the reason. Electricity has now largely been restored, but the blackout caused severe disruption for many hours.
The relief was audible as power returned to Spain's capital, Madrid. operator Renfe said only half of regional trains were moving again in Madrid, even fewer in Barcelona. Still no electricity in his building. Others report that cell phone service and internet are still not available, turning the basic tasks of modern life into an unusual challenge.
DW's Jan-Philipp Scholz joins us now from Seville in Spain. So, JP, the power is back on now, but is it any clearer what happened and why this happened?
Not really. There are many theories, but very little has been officially confirmed. Experts say that a certain lack of transparency is usual with this kind of incident. Of course, it's a very critical element for a functioning society, the power supply. So authorities tend to be very careful with information. So currently, explanations range from extreme temperature variations to some technical issue that occurred at the connection between France and Spain. A lot of people here also think it's just been a chain of unfortunate incidences. Of course, there are still also a lot of theories about a cyber attack, but as we just heard, the national grid operator just ruled out such theories.
We meet for the 20th. I hope I will have the pleasure still to be invited for the meeting. When we meet for the 20th Governance Summit, you will use the app like Uber, but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. No, Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030 Los Angeles will be private car driven free. And this will allow to transform highways into parks and other public spheres.
History is truly at a turning point. We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected.